Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student, Matt Leonard.
Today's show is an important one for every member of the Nassau Community College community to hear. And be sure to tell your friends that are members of the college community as well.
That's right, Matt. Today we're going to learn about the on-campus food pantry called The Nest at NCC. Our guests today are Sharon Masrour, the Executive Director, and Valerie Fasanello, the Assistant Director at The Nest. They are both professors in the English department at Nassau, in addition to their work at The Nest. Valerie and Sharon, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, Matt.
You're in a whole new area today. You've been at The Nest, the English department, and now you're at the radio station. But tell us a little bit about yourself individually and how you got involved in this food pantry. So let's start with Sharon.
Okay, so I've been at the college for almost 20 years now. I was teaching in the reading department, now the English department. And it was obvious to me from the start and from many of my colleagues across campus that there was a great need on campus, that students were hungry, that students were experiencing basic needs and security. And so many of us, we were keeping food in our briefcases and in our desk drawers because students would come and they'd be hungry, and we could see it. And in our classrooms, it became very obvious to us. And so I kind of joke sometimes that we started the Nest out of the trunk of my car because I always had a bunch of food there available for students in need. And so in 2013, the idea came to me to open up a pantry on campus. And as soon as I started shopping that idea around campus, there was great enthusiasm for the idea from all departments, from all areas. And one of the first people to jump on board was Valerie. And we worked very closely with our good friend Helen Rice and many other people across campus. And Valerie's been with us since just about the beginning. Yeah, and we just keep growing and getting
When did
stronger.
this start? Excuse me, what did you?
2013 we started it, but there was a lot of red tape. And so we actually opened our doors in 2015. So we're a nonprofit 501c3, which means that we exist on the campus, but we are an independent agency. And so that was part of the red tape that we had to work through. And that's why it took 2 years. But, it was worth it. And we had a great student presence. We always knew that was important. And the students helped us to get through all of the red tape and jump through all those hurdles. And they knew it was important from the start, too.
Well, the end goal is obviously worth it, and what you're doing is great. But Valerie, tell us your story.
So, thanks, Sharon. Like Sharon mentioned, in 2015, I began teaching full-time here at Nassau Community, and I met Sharon and Helen, and they started to, like you said, you brought out the idea, we have this small pantry, and so they brought me on to work on the PR committee, and then from that, they said, okay, would you like to join the executive board? Okay. And like you said, we continued to expand and to grow, and I kept taking on more roles and responsibilities, and eventually I was promoted, and very happily promoted, to assistant director, and so now it's already been 7 years that I've been on board. So I joined them when the year that they opened. The 2 years prior to that, like we had said, they were working out the red tape. So since the day the doors open, I've been there, and every day continue to love being there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's impressive talking to college professors. That's just one of those impressive professions in the world. Mm-hmm. But yet, what you do as a professor doesn't even come close to what you're doing on a volunteer basis, I guess, with the Nest, by feeding these people, because if people don't have food, you got a problem.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful that you're teaching, but you're really doing good in a whole other direction. And you probably, when you wrote those essays when you were a child, what I want to be when I grow up, you probably never thought that this is where you're going to save the world.
Right.
And yet you're doing it.
Right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, when we think about it that way, yes, I guess but I always said you can't, it's impossible to teach a student that's hungry. And if they're sitting there hungry, they're not listening to what you're saying. So we needed to alleviate that to achieve the success in the classroom as well, and to help them be more successful as students, that to achieve their end goal. They needed help with their food insecurity, their basic need insecurity. It's hard to focus on school when you have these basic needs at home. So if we could help them alleviate that, then we we can watch them and proudly watch them achieve success.
Very true. And Matt, I don't know about you, but when I think of food insecurity for students, I'm thinking like first grade, third grade, little children. I would never think of it in the college campus arena, and yet you were smart enough to do that, open this up and help these students, and obviously they need it. So hats off to you. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
I actually think that
team effort.
Right. Yeah. And I am both Sharon and I used to prior to Nassau Community, we were public school teachers on Long Island, and I think that the food insecurity is addressed. It's addressed in the public schools. They have free lunch. They have free breakfast programs. The school provides snacks. So a student rarely goes hungry in the public schools on Long Island. When then they come to Nassau and there's no any college, not just Nassau. There's no program to help them with that. There's no safety net. Right. So they all these years they've had this safety net. They come here and now they're trying to do well. In their classes, and they can't. There's nothing to eat.
Right, and we're so impressed by our students all the time, and by the guests that come to us, because they are making sacrifices to come to school. There is a cost for tuition, for transportation, for textbooks, and so sometimes something has to give. Often something has to give. Are we going to pay tuition? Or are we going to put food on the table? And the thing that often suffers is the food security. And many of our students come from very large families, very large households. Many of them are student parents, but also we support whole families here. So if a student comes to us and says, I could use some support, I'm hungry, we don't just feed that person. We say, how many people in your household? If there are 4 people, we give enough for 4 people. If there are 16 people, and we do have some very large households, then we give enough for everybody, because it doesn't make sense to go home with one little bag of groceries for yourself if you've got 7 children at home. So we do try to see our students holistically, and in that way, the idea of being a professor on campus, or any of the staff members we have on campus who see students on a regular basis, doing that work and doing the work that we do at the Nest, it goes hand in hand, because we see individuals, we see people. They're not just students. And I think so often, we're trained to do our job as teachers, go in, teach English, teach biology, teach photography, whatever that is. And the faculty across campus, they're all wonderful, but we really have to look at the students very holistically and say, you know what, there's a reason maybe why they didn't do that homework, because they went home after working 3 jobs and there was still no food, or they had to, take their child to, there's no child care. And so they were trying to work that situation out. And that's why they came late to class today. And so we work on all of these things. It's not just food. We provide many other services at the Nest also.
No, I see you're doing a lot, and we're going to learn more about it, but I'll turn it over to Matt.
Sure.
Obviously, at least in my experience at Nassau Community College, it's always been a place that is preaching equal opportunity to everybody. People here of different cultural backgrounds, all different age groups, different financial situations, everything.
Sure.
Why do you think it's so important to have an organization like the Nest associated with a place like that, where just people from all walks of life are here and involved in this school?
Well, I think that the nature of food insecurity is changing, that it's found everywhere now. We used to think of it as only in deep urban areas, which is not accurate. And there are food deserts everywhere. So even in a suburban area like we are in now, there's not always access to food, or the food that is available is it's not healthy, or it's too expensive, or the things that can be afforded, those are not things that are really going to nutritionally help our students. And so, we do have a very great mix of students on campus. We have students who are coming from, very well-off homes, and we have many students, more than probably most people realize, more than certainly I realized, before I got involved, and I think Valerie would say the same thing, until we really just started hearing their stories and talking to people, and just, we've really become friends with so many of the folks that we work with, and you just see that no matter what walk of life they're coming from, it cuts across every racial boundary, ethnic boundary, every kind of background that you can find here at Nassau. We have people who are in need.
We've also helped adjunct professors and professors on campus, the CSEA employees. We've helped a variety of people across campus. And I think also with the pandemic and the inflation right now, the need has no boundaries. groceries now. I mean, the pandemic and inflation has thrown a curveball into everybody's budget, no matter, like Sharon said, race, gender, nationality, religion. Every one of us is seeing a change in our budget. And so our need has greatly increased because of that.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Matt Leonard, along with Bill Horan, and today we're learning all about the on-campus food pantry right here at Nassau Community College called The Nest at NCC. Our guests today are Sharon Masrour, the Executive Director, and Valerie Fasanello, the Assistant Director at The Nest at NCC. They are also both professors in Nassau's English department. What is the philosophy, would you say, of The Nest, and has it really changed since the beginning, or is it still the same as when you started?
I would say it's always evolving. The more we know, the more we're able to help people and serve people in the ways that they want to be served. But we see every person who comes to us, as I was saying before, we see them holistically, and we don't require any proof of income. We don't want to see anybody's pay stubs or W-4 form or nothing of that nature. So we treat everybody as they need to be treated and as they want to be treated. So, each person is different that comes to us. And so we look at each person and have conversations with them and ask them how we can support them. And the way we support one family or one individual is very different from the way that we support others, just based on the reporting that they give us. And so our philosophy is we treat everybody with respect. It sounds corny, but I'll say it. We treat everybody that comes to our door with love. We do. We appreciate them.
Equally.
I respect them. Yep, equally. And we're just so honored that people have been coming to us. And it takes a lot of courage to say that you need help. It takes a lot of courage for many people to step through that door. And so we really honor that in every way.
Part of our philosophy is also free choice.
Yes.
Because we don't believe that we don't know what dietary restrictions, what religious restrictions, what you like to eat, what your children will eat. So we think that you should it should be like a supermarket. You go in and you choose what works for you, what fills your belly, like feeds your family. And so we've always said that was always something I learned from Sharon right away early on. It's free choice. Let people have choice so that they feel like they can come in and pick what they want and they feel welcomed, and it's almost like the supermarket for them.
And can anyone come in, or do they have to go through a approval process like a credit card? I mean, I know you don't work with a credit card, but like we have to fill it out and see if
there's no application process or anything. Anybody who's associated with Nassau Community College can come and be a guest of the Nest. And so, as Valerie was saying before, we most of our guests, of course, are students, but we do have faculty members, adjunct faculty members, staff, the CSEA employees, the landscapers, the housekeeping crew. They come in and they get services as well, and they get support from us. So no, there's no proof. I know sometimes one of the first questions a lot of people ask when they hear about the work that we're doing is, well, how do you know that somebody's really being honest? Maybe they're not really in need. Well, we're willing to take that chance. We're going to err on the side of generosity. And if there is somebody who's coming to the door and shows up weekly and says, hey, I need groceries, and in fact, they don't really need groceries, well, the way we see it is they need something. They're coming here for a sense of community, or they're coming here because there's some other way that we can support them. And so we're glad they're there.
And as you said, there's always going to be that probably somebody in there who's bucking the system, but the fact that you're out there and serving the other 99%,
right,
helping them, that's just the way it's going to work. It's like a car accident. We don't stop driving because someone had an accident, etc.
What would you say a typical item of food would be in terms of, maybe a non-perishable food or something that stays a long shelf life or something like that? What's the typical thing you would offer? Is just a wide range of things?
It's a wide range of items. It varies by day what the donations we get, but we try very hard to keep perishable items, so healthy fruits, vegetables, milk, eggs. We have non-perishable items. We have toiletries, so we have essential need items. We try to have toilet paper, paper towels. We do offer new clothing only. We don't take used clothing. We have new with tags on it clothing. It's a variety. It's anything that someone would need to run their household. The same way that Sharon and I go shopping, we try to keep the same items, those same items in the nest: toothpaste, non-perishable, perishables, everything.
Right.
And we
then
really
all
try
the
hard to
foods, pastas and cereals, peanut butter and jelly and rice and
breads.
soups and
And we really try hard to have some healthy items because that's important.
Yeah.
That whole giving people toilet paper thing must have been real popular in 2020, huh?
Yes. But you know what else was popular recently? Baby formula.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
It was a hot commodity on our shelves.
And we had it actually when other people didn't, because people are so generous with us, giving us donations, and people were coming to us when they couldn't find it elsewhere. In fact, we shared with the Children's Greenhouse. I'll give them a little shout out. They're amazing here on campus. Janet Walsh and all of her folks over there. And so that's another thing. We try to let everybody in the community know about the services we have. And so many of the parents at the greenhouse will come to us, and then we share resources with that group and with many groups throughout the community, the campus community and the wider community as well.
You mentioned you mentioned the toiletries and stuff, and obviously you are marketed as a food pantry. I'm sure, Bill, you didn't know they offered toiletries like that.
I didn't know any of it. In fact, so many things are offered. And in fact, I was going to tell the ladies, I used to see the sign on campus, The Nest. Yeah. Yep. And I thought that was a luncheonette or a small restaurant on campus because it just sounded that way.
The name,
et cetera,
Sure.
The Nest. And in fact, I was going to ask you, where on the campus is this? If someone was looking for it, they probably don't want to go around asking people. It might be embarrassing. So where would they find The Nest?
Right. So we're located right now in the basement of North Hall. We are looking for new digs eventually because we need something that's a little bit more supportive of our goals. But that's in the future. Right now, we're in the basement of North Hall, and it's a large space, and we do a lot of work from there because we give out. It's been increasing. I literally can't keep track of how many pounds of food we give out a week, food and other essential items. I think we're up to about 7,000 or 8,000 pounds of food and groceries that we give out every single week to families. And that's in addition to the other services we have, like we have grants. We can talk about that also.
But also with North Hall, just so you know, there's an outside entrance from the outside of the building, and there's an inside entrance to the nest. So some of our guests with COVID didn't feel comfortable coming in. For a while, we were curbside. No one was allowed in because of the COVID restrictions. And now there are still some guests that don't feel comfortable coming in because of COVID, and we can accommodate them on the outside entrance. So we also so we have two entrances down to the nest.
And I think I read something that you actually help people with public transportation. Is it a Metro card or something that
Valerie's been great with coordinating those efforts. She and another lovely person, Jen Kohut. And so we do give out Metro cards. We were giving out cards that had several rides on them. Now we're giving, every time somebody comes, they can get another Metro card. And when the gas prices were very high, we were giving out gas cards as well, because we don't want anything to get between a student's ability to get to campus and get their education. So we were giving out gas cards.
One other item that we didn't mention that we have diapers also available, which is very, they're expensive. That's expensive for a parent that's going to school. That's a very expensive item. And we work with an outside organization that provides us with diapers of all sizes, pull-ups, so we have those as well. So, and we're trying to change as you indicated, people just think of us as a food pantry. We're trying to now say we're a food and essential needs pantry, but also, as Sharon indicated earlier, we've been changing, we've been evolving. We started off small and we had just food, and we've been working with other organizations. So we're growing, our title's trying to grow, our space is starting to grow. So we've been evolving from that.
Now, here's an opportunity. If someone is listening, there's probably ways that you can get donations of food and or financially that people never even thought of, maybe professional law firms, accounting firms, businesses.
Yes.
And they would be happy to help. A lot of businesses are terrific around Long Island, maybe restaurants, leftover food, bagels that they can't sell by 2 o'clock or whenever they close. Is there any words you can put out to these people while we're in the midst of the show that to kind of let them know how they could help?
Yeah, so we do get support from a lot of community groups, so from companies, from corporate groups, from individuals, from small businesses, from faith-based organizations, from all kinds of clubs, Boy Scouts, and so forth. But if there's anybody who wants to help, we would love that, and we really, truly need it. In fact, literally just as we were walking over here today, Valerie and I were saying, everything we have is just flying off the shelves. The need is so tremendous now. It's hard to keep up. We are keeping up, and nobody ever walks away empty-handed from us. But it does require a lot of help from the outside. So there are ways. We also love to take financial donations, some monetary. None of us are paid, by the way. We're all volunteers, so that's pretty cool. None of us has ever received a penny. So every penny you donate goes directly to the people in need. We have, we don't have any overhead. The college kindly provides us the space on campus. And so, do you want to talk, Val, about how they can actually make those connections? Sure.
Well, all of our information, our contact information can be found on our website. But also, it's not just limited to those who are, we've been in contact with 7-Eleven over the years, but we have a member of our executive board, Michael Rogers. He's an Allstate agent who came on board, and we get grants through Allstate. They offer grants for any of their agents that are volunteering their time. They give us, he earns for us $1,000 a year. So yes, it would be great if it's a food company, but there are so many different, a lawyer, an accountant, anybody that has an opportunity to help us grow and to support us. Please go on the website that you could find our names, our email address, our contacts, and we welcome and would love any help anybody could give us.
And there's a lot of great organizations on Long Island, obviously, that may not even just be aware of this. I wasn't aware of it until we met you a few minutes ago and decided to do this interview. So if they're out there, and even to contact you, I'm sure you guys are the experts, can come up with ways, whether it's financial, whether it's through some of their services that might help the people
we've
get some things they deserve, or
creative solutions with different groups. It's
and that's actually a very good point. It's not limited. Some people have contacted us, and they've just reached out to their friends on their social media and say, I work, a friend of ours, or we know this organization at Nassau Community. Could you please, drop some goods at my house? And a neighbor down the block from our house collected all Thanksgiving bags and she's a community member. She heard about it through my social media, and before we knew it, we had 30 giant Thanksgiving bags with gift cards to feed families for Thanksgiving. So
and she also ended up being a volunteer with us, and so that's another thing. We always need volunteers. We love donations, and we love our volunteers. So if
they be anybody volunteer? Do they have to be associated with the school?
They don't have to be associated with the school, but there are certain criteria, and we can talk about that, with whomever might contact us. But we do always need volunteers. The other thing is, and again, we were just discussing this today, volunteers don't have to always be available just to be part of the staffing group. You don't have to be there when we're open for business and serving guests. That's great. We need those folks too. But sometimes we have people that will just say, I can't really be there for staffing, but I can redo your flyer for you because your flyer looks outdated, which is something literally that just happened. We're like, yeah, you're right. Somebody else is going to redo our website. Somebody else is hanging posters. Other people are going around to their community organizations and trying to and giving people information about the nest and getting donations that way. So there are many things that can be done. We need somebody. In fact, we need somebody who can make a video for us. We have all the ideas. We just don't have a videographer. So I'm not trying to plug that. I'm just saying there's so many people with skills and who have interest in the nest that we can use in very creative ways. And
one thing I want to point out that you ladies just said, Matt, that these people are volunteers. 100%, as I'm hearing it, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
If you're donating something, whether it's money or food, that's going directly to the cause.
Yep.
So many of the big groups that we see between administration, advertisement, employees, etc., the charity gets 3 or 5 or 10% or 40%. Here they're getting 100%. I don't mean to make a joke about this, but we all know food is necessary. Without that, person isn't going to be around
Right,
too long.
right.
So if these are your neighbors, the school is right here in Garden City.
Yeah.
If you have that opportunity, whether financially, if you don't have the time, or to give some of your time, or perhaps go out and pursue the cause
Yeah.
and help you get more donations, maybe that's people's skills, fundraising, etc.
Absolutely. We need fundraisers desperately. Yes, thank you.
even
We have
local-
a great fundraising committee. Jean and Stacy do some great work for us, but we could use some more support in that area too.
Great, like you said, the local Girl Scout, Boy Scout troops, if they could do collections, anything, if they reach out to us, we're happy to coordinate them. Also, like Sharon said, we're an established 501(c), so you can get a tax write-off letter. It is tax deductible because we are our own established 501 nonprofit
So not
organization.
only do you feel good, you're going to have a little more money in your pocket. Maybe give it back to you.
Exactly.
It's a win-win.
That's a win-win. Matt, let me go back. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I wanted to point that out. So.
No problem, Bill. I'm used to it. It's fine.
Poor Matt.
He's going to hit me later on, but that's okay. I'm doing it for a good cause.
Well, speaking of a good cause, Bill, obviously we've been discussing for this entire interview just how great of a cause this is, and Bill kept saying the number 100%. That is, as he said, mind-blowing because a lot of these organizations he's like, Bill just said it perfectly. They need to run themselves somehow and
Yes,
fund
yes.
themselves, and
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for words at the fact that everything that is donated
Yeah.
goes to people
Yeah.
in need, and I myself as a student here, and I know a lot of fellow students would love to get involved. Give us the website or maybe a phone number or something like that we can
absolutely
definitely
will.
visit right now and get involved.
We're going to give you the website. Well, I just want to say something about that. That yes, all the money that you donate and all the food and everything that you donate will go directly to our guests, directly to the families and the individuals in need. Sometimes when we do have something that we have to buy, like we needed shelving, we had a donor who specifically said, "Here, I'm giving you $1,000 to buy shelves," and that never went to like the general pot. That was just something that we bought on our own because that person said that. So if you're giving money, you can be assured that it's going to the right place. It's going where you expect. So our website is nestncc.weebly.com. I know some people are not familiar with that, so it's nestncc.weebly.com.
And our email is foodinthenest@gmail.com.
That's a good one. Food in the
I like that,
right?
yeah.
Food
Easy
in
to
the
remember.
nest.
Easy to remember. Foodinthenest@gmail.com.
Yes, that's one of those. Some stick with you. I'm going to
for
forget
sure.
the first one.
Yeah, I know.
Food in the nest at Gmail,
Yes.
and then I can email you and get more information.
I do not think Bill knows what Weebly means, but as far as food in the nest, he's got
I'm sure
that
you're
one.
going to tell me later on, so you'll figure that out. And I'm sure to our audience that if anyone is out there and you're looking for a good cause to help out, whether it's to run a garage sale and make the donation to this group, or actually come each week and maybe even go around and help you with the fundraising, go to a few local restaurants or supermarkets, and anything you can do, it's obviously going to fellow Long Islanders. There's no administrative cost, no overhead that is being taken out, so anything you do is going right for the charitable purposes that you intended. So what could be better than that?
And also clothing. If you have any items in your closet with tags on them, which we all do. You know, we always joke. We always thought we were going to lose those 10 pounds to fit in this shirt, but we never did. So it's still in there with the
You've
tags
been looking
on.
in my closet. Okay,
Exactly.
we'll talk about that later.
So we accept new with tags on clothing, and that goes, again, directly to the students at Nassau Community College.
We want to thank today. Our time is running much too quickly, but Sharon Masrour, the Executive Director, and Valerie Fasanello, the Assistant Director of the Nest at NCC. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us and for this opportunity.
I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Matt Leonard. We thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We'd like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.